See, we might be live now, we don't know. It looks like we are live. Welcome. Good to see everybody here. Hopefully we'll start to get a bunch of people joining here with us, but welcome. This is our 14th episode, I believe.
We've done this 14 times?
Whatever we're calling this. I don't think we have an official name yet, but this is our 14th episode.
What do you call it? Pod something?
Live tube or
LiveTube or
LiveCast. A lot of different names. We don't know what it's called yet, but it's great that you're here. My name is Sam, this is Brian, and this is Lucas, and we eat, breathe, and sleep real estate all day, every day. It's all we do. So before we get started, I want to ask you guys, why do you love real estate so much, Lucas?
Oh, I didn't even know this question was coming.
Boom.
But I love real estate because it's a vehicle for you to have the financial freedom and the time freedom to do whatever you want in life.
What about you, Brian?
It's kind of changed over the years. When I first got into this, I just loved finding the deal. I was one of those guys that I get all excited, like looking for the deal, and when I got it, I'd come home and celebrate, jump on my little rebounder, my wife would make fun of me. And it's kind of evolved over the years. I don't get as excited about the deal anymore, but I love the strategy of it.
You just grow multiple companies kind of now. It's kind of probably where you get your high, right?
I enjoy the strategy of whether it's real estate or building companies, it's the same to me. It's just it's a strategy game.
Awesome. Well,
I used to love Monopoly and Risk when I was a kid. I still love them, honestly.
That's what we play. That's what we play with real life money, though.
Yeah.
So awesome. Well, I love it just because it gives you so much control. Like I can control how wealthy and how much money I'm going to be able to pass down to my kids and my kids' kids, as opposed to working for somebody else. You know, you probably more than likely, unless you're a CEO of a big company, you're just going to do all right. You know, so I just like that you can create so much wealth. But with that being said, let's get rocking on our latest episode. We're doing a little fun intro that we're going to start to do.
I noticed that surfboarder before.
You never noticed a surfboarder before?
No, what's that?
The surfboard, that's technology, Brian. That's not a real person. That's just something we put on there. That was our floodplain video.
Yeah, looked like Sue, our bartender.
It was not, I don't think, but
She would have been on a Harley.
she would have been on a Harley drinking wine. Good to see everybody. If you're just joining us now, this is Brian. My name is Sam, and this is Lucas. We are real estate investors. We are in the trenches all day, every day. I can't imagine anybody that is more in the trenches than us. Before we get started, kind of tell you guys who's in this, what we got going every day. Make sure to comment in the comment section, ask questions. We want this to be a Q&A. We're going to go over how we buy houses without using our own money. We're going to do a case study on that. We got some pictures and this awesome calculator we use. So we have all that we're going to show you, but in the meantime, make sure to put your question in the chat box. Brian loves the internet and he loves questions. So
What's up, James? Jen, good to see you guys. Thanks for joining us.
Join us, shout us out, say hey.
You got a nice little family you got there, James, Daryl. I call you James.
Let us know where you guys are from, and if you have any questions about what we're talking about or any question on real estate, feel free to ask. But like I said a second ago, we are in the trenches. I can't imagine there's somebody that's more in the trenches and more has a finger on the pulse of real estate than us. In this building we're sitting at right here, we have a flipping company that buys 150 to 200 houses a year, Faster House. Lucas runs that company. We have over 300 rental doors owned in this building. 250 of them are owned by the guys sitting up here, but almost everyone on our team is growing our own portfolio. So we are dialed into the landlording game as much as possible. And then we also have a hard money lending company that Brian owns and Suzanne runs, and you guys usually have around 10 million on the streets. I know it kind of ramped down a little with COVID, but it's on its way back up. But so we have over $10 million of loans on the streets at any given time usually. We have a traditional brokerage that's growing like crazy. Magnolia Real Estate, it has, well, I think we're gonna do 50 million maybe this year or close to it.
I think we're gonna beat it.
Over 50 million in their second full year of being a brokerage, do over 50 million. So that's in this building. We also have True Title in the building. They are one of the fastest growing title companies in St. Louis. Always seem to be adding a location or two a year, and they're growing like crazy. So they're in the building. Then we also have this crazy FasterFreedom education business that we're kind of running and trying to get off the ground and do some fun things with. And that's kind of what the purpose of this live is. So we are in the trenches. We know our market better than anybody. We also are connected with people around the country. Luke's and I are a mastermind that has people from almost every major market. There's over 200 people in it. We spend $30,000 a year being that mastermind, so we are tuned into the rest of the country. And you're in one as well that's pretty connected to people around the country doing single-family rentals.
Rentals and lending, yeah.
So we are tied into the market, and we want to help you guys get as much as you can out of this. Like I said earlier, make sure to comment, tell us where you're from, what you're looking to get out of this. And if you have any questions on real estate, we are going to do a case study here on how we buy rental properties without using any of our own money. I get that question all the time on my TikTok channel that I just created and on Instagram.
You from the teenagers? Is that what you're
They're
talking
not
about?
teenagers on there, guys. They're people that are asking me are grown men. I see their pictures. So anyways, and I just got a text from one of them. So we are, we're always trying to get the word out there of how to buy real estate without investing our own money, because we believe in it so strong and we've done it. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Make sure to, if you are watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to our channel. If you have not, we do videos all day, or we do videos every single week. We do 3 of them. And if you're on Facebook after this, make sure to hop over to YouTube and subscribe. We can put out great content. Share this video, like it, or make sure to ask questions. We really would appreciate that. So, like I said a second ago, we are in the market. We're doing this all day, every day. So I'll kind of give you a quick market update. So I kind of run the sales and marketing for our companies a little bit. Leads have been down a lot. We're on a downward trend for leads in the past, 3 weeks have been kind of going down. 4 weeks have been going down. And we've talked to other people around the country. That's kind of the case. It's not super rare that that's happening. So we're trying to bark up, we ramp up direct mail. We try to do a little bit more with their SEO page. We're increasing Facebook ads. So we're trying to combat that. So leads are down a little bit, but buys are holding pretty steady. Lucas, how's the sales and the retail going?
Yeah, it's going well. Like Sam said, buys are holding pretty steady. Part of it is because we have an awesome network. So wholesalers, real estate agents, so people like that, if you got deals, bring them to us. We'll take them down for you guys. We love buying houses from real estate agents and wholesalers. But on the retail side of things, we don't have a lot of inventory because everything we put on the market is selling with multiple offers over asking price. So we just put a house, one of our rehabs, on the market in Webster Groves yesterday and got about, 10 showings, no offers yet, but we're really hoping for a showing. So retail market is still hot.
Thanks for watching, Blake. We don't have FasterFreedom shirt yet, but we will make them. If you stay tuned and watch it and stay in contact with me on Instagram and YouTube and here, I promise you once we get shirts.
And TikTok?
And, you don't do TikTok. I promise you I'll send you a shirt. So stay involved. So as soon as we get shirts made, I will send them, and thank you for subscribing. I appreciate that. Ask questions as we go. So
You think the leads are down because the market is so hot? You think there's a kind of correlation there?
Tammy, our kind of lead manager, thinks that. She thinks people are market so hot that they're just kind of throwing stuff on the market as is, or they're just doing a little bit to it then throwing on the market as before. I think that's part of it. It's a lot of things going on.
It's in the middle of summer too, which is sometimes has a little bit of a dip. But yeah.
They'll be back on count.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So what, Brian? So
life keeps happening to people. People keep dying. People getting divorced. That's where one of his
stuff keeps happening for
Yes.
sure. So tell us a little bit about the lending and the rental market, Brian, and then we're just going to get into our case study and show you guys a cool presentation you put together. So go ahead, Brian. Tell us a little bit how's the lending and rental going.
So our lending business is down a little bit, primarily because kind of same correlation. Leads are down, houses are selling quicker, so things are just moving through the system faster. So amount of money we have out is down a little bit, but not dramatically. It is part of the game. Rentals is hot. I've been in the rental business for a long time. There's more tenants out there right now than I think that I've ever seen. The other thing is the rent collection has been really good. I kind of contributed to the money that the government's distributing has helped the rental tenants. So anyway, rental business is good right now, really good.
Yeah, I think out of 250 doors that we have, I think we're at about 99% occupancy, which is crazy because if ran right, your rental portfolio can make money over 95% occupancy. So those extra percentages are just extra profit. And I think we put a house on the market yesterday and got a super qualified app, 750 plus credit score, making $6-7 a month, works at Boeing. So you're right, the tenant pool is very deep right now.
Which is kind of crazy. It's not. I was very worried about after all this happened, what was going to happen. But the rental market's been great in St. Louis. If you're out there and you have rentals, let us know how your rentals are doing. What your occupancy is sitting at. If you've had issues getting tension out, so let us know how that's going. Got Jonathan Dudley there. Yeah, I talked to Jonathan yesterday. He's going to be joining our master coaching group, which is a local thing we're doing that we might end up taking a little bit out farther in the future. But right now it's just local. So great to have you on, Jonathan. Make sure to ask any questions.
Good to hear from you, Jonathan. Good to see you.
Make sure to have any questions you have.
I like that profile picture, Jonathan. Is that two beers, two cold beers? Can't beat that.
Beers, yeah. You brought that in our office. Those get drank real quick by a bunch of different people. So thanks for joining us. If you're just getting on now, my name is Sam. This is Brian. This is Lucas. We are in the real estate game. We built a $25 million rental portfolio largely with how much money out of our own pocket?
Zero.
Pretty much. So we're gonna get into that right here. People ask me all the time, how do you invest in real estate without using your own money? Most people think it's kind of like a sales pitch or a scam. It's not. It's a real thing that has a name now. It's called the BRRRR strategy, the Burr Method. So we're gonna get into that right now. I took a few slides from Lucas and I's presentation. We gave this presentation at our local meetup in January, and we had, I think, over 300 people show up. So we're still showing that 300 people show up to that. So that was awesome. So we are going to talk to you guys about how we buy money with, or how we buy houses with no money out of pocket. So let's get into that and get rolling. All right. So how we do that is with the Burr Method. So many of you probably know what this is. If you don't, we're going to go over it here quickly. So the BRRRR stands for buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and repeat. So when you're purchasing these houses, you have to buy them at a discount. The BRRRR Method doesn't work if you buy a house
It's the key.
at
Gotta
market
buy it
value.
at a discount. If you don't buy it at a discount, it's not a no money out of pocket deal.
Correct, because you have to make sure you're buying at a discount where you can add value. If you're buying at, you'll see farther in when we explain it. But if you're buying a little bit further, if you're buying at market value or higher, then you can't refinance out. So you got to make sure to buy a discount. Lucas, what's the formula we use?
Yeah, we use ARV times 75 to 80% depending on the area, minus estimated rehab costs, and that's what we purchase houses at. And you're at a safe discount, you're at a good LTV when you go to refinance, and you have a lot of different exit strategies when you buy houses at that type of discount. And
we're going to go over an example of real life numbers as well to kind of show you what that means. But basically, that 75% discount allows you to have profit in the deal and refinance out and make your money back, which will say what the bank will do. Or even if something goes wrong with the rehab and it's not quite the rental that you want, you can sell it. If you're buying it at that much of a discount and you're rehabbing, you're right, you can sell it and make a little money. It allows for multiple exit strategies, which is key in real estate and pretty much in anything.
Definitely our flipping business. Helps us out in that business
For
a lot.
sure. You want to buy at a discount. So that is the first part of buying a house with no money out of pocket through the Burr Method, is buying at a discount. What's the second bar stand for, Lucas? You're kind of the rehab man.
Yeah, looks like it stands for rehab, and that's really what you got to do to get your rental ready to put a tenant in. And we like to rehab our houses to a certain level that is actually pretty nice and allow someone to want to live in your house, but also have a lot of maintenance-free items throughout that house, such as luxury vinyl plank in lieu of carpet, and maybe stuff on the lines of maybe not as many fans throughout the house. Always like a dolly light in lieu of a fan, stuff like that. The quality rehab will help you get a higher appraisal and fewer maintenance issues down the road.
For sure. What's up, Dustin? Yes, the Burr Method is a game changer. And Leo, great question, or Lee, I'm guessing it's Leo. Yeah, great question. This will be. So this is going to be on our Facebook page and also on our YouTube channel. This will just be a video. Like all the other ones, this is our 14th episode, so you can go back and see all 13 episodes as well as this. It's live now, but it'll be posted and you can access it later. But stay tuned and ask questions if you have any for sure. All right, so once you buy the property discount, the reason you bought it at a discount is because it needed work. So you had to rehab it to get it up to market value. So once you have it rehab and you get it to where someone can live in it or rent it, what do you do next, Brian? I just kind of gave a hint there.
Rent the house out to an awesome tenant.
Yes.
And, obviously to do that, you got to get the house marketed well. And there's so many channels out there today that are digital, like I told you before, I like the computer, I like the internet.
Love the internet. It's an amazing thing. Brian loves the
I used to market our houses in the classified section of the newspaper, so the internet is amazing.
So marketing expenses for your rentals have actually gone down over time.
Incredibly. It used to be a huge expense.
Yeah.
I don't even remember, but the classified section of the newspaper was expensive.
Yeah, a couple $100 a week or something like that.
Yeah, I think so. Yes. So anyway, make the house look great. Take awesome photos because that's where tenants are going to be shopping is on their phones or on their computers. So make sure it looks awesome on a phone or a computer. You do that by taking awesome photos. Professionally or be an awesome photo taker yourself.
And you just got to do it one time. As long as you don't change much of the property, you can use that each time it's rented there for a while. So if you're just joining us, we are going over how you buy rental properties with no money out of your own pocket. We're in the middle of talking about the Burr Method. We talked a little bit about buying, rehabbing, and renting. And in our example, we'll explain how you buy it with someone else's money, but this is how you get that person's money back and sent to you. So there's a few different ways to buy it and not use your own money, which we'll talk about. So after you bought it, rehabbed it, got it kind of up to snuff, and got a renter in it, you can take it to the bank and refinance it. So Luke, you want to explain kind of how we refinance and how that works?
Yeah, so not every bank is familiar with this type of process. Usually we start this process when we've owned the asset, we own the house for maybe 3 months, and we bring it to a bank, and we talk to that banker. We say, we think this house is worth this, and most of the time those bankers will give you a percentage of what that house is worth. But to prove what the house is worth, they send an appraiser out to appraise your property, and they'll give you between 75% to 80% of that appraised value. And if you bought it right, hopefully you'll be able to recoup your purchase money and your rehab money and some interest that you have to pay from the purchase of rehab money.
The goal is to get all your money back. Sometimes you fall a little short, and sometimes you get extra money back.
Yeah.
That's why we say we built a $225 million portfolio with no money out of pocket. We've had to come out of pocket on some refinances, but we've also got money back on others. So it kind of evens out.
Yes.
So that's kind of the important part. We're going to go over an example on this if you're not familiar with this method. If you are, it's just a great recap for you. But if you're not, we're going to go over an example that kind of ties all this together. So I'm going to let you take the last one, Brian. So you bought it at a discount using a hard money or private money lender or your own funds. You rehabbed it. You rented it and you refinanced it, so you got all your money back. So you got your money back, so you had no money out of pocket, or you got your money back to pay your private lender or your hard money lender. So if you use your own money or use their money, everybody's whole, and you own the property, you have no money out of pocket. And then what do?
You repeat it.
How many times?
Well, we've done it 250 times. We'll probably do it another 250 probably.
I would say at least we've probably done it well over 300 times because we've sold something. That's true. So we've probably done it over 300 times just up here. And now that I've always been, but partners with Lucas, he's a crazy nutcase. So we'll probably have 500-600 houses here in the next 5 to 10 years would be my guess. Our goal is 100 million in assets owned. So
you got a big ass goal. And the repeat is super cool because the hardest part is doing it the first 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
During that time, you're building up your team and you're getting all your systems and processes down. After you've done it 10 times, it's a pretty darn easy process. I don't know, I call it a simple process. There's just steps and stuff you follow, but as long as you follow the process, it works really well.
Yeah, and when you first get started, like Brian said, you first 1 to 10 times you do the Burr Method, you're probably doing one house at a time. And this whole process might take you 6 months the first few times. But as you get good, you can maybe stack a couple on top of each other, and this process will become much faster, maybe 2 to 4 months.
Agreed. Awesome. So we're going to question from Blake here, then move on to the next one. If you're just tuning in, we're talking about the Burr Method and how to buy properties with no money out of pocket. We have done it over 300 times without using any of our own money. So question from Blake again. So you keep it as a rental and build equity and the net worth instead of selling it. You are 100% right. So every single Burr that we do, we have at least 20% equity and sometimes 30%. So you are 100% right, Blake. It's extremely powerful. You get the equity in the property, but then you also get cash flow. So the equity goes up because the house appreciates and the note gets paid off by the tenant. So your equity just grows over time, and one property times however many properties you have, your equity just grows. And that's equity you can use. Luke's and I just refinanced our rental portfolio and pulled out $880,000. Tax-free money because of the refinance, because we tapped into that equity. There's a video on our YouTube channel, if you haven't checked that out, that we talk about that. So we have a video specifically talking about that. Maybe HRH can throw that link in the comments, but there's a video on there that we talk specifically about our portfolio refining.
Let me add just a little bit to that too. So Blake, so we all have other jobs that pay us an active income to live off. And one of those jobs that we have is selling it and making money on that. So as long as you got enough money to live on through another active income source, we like to keep rentals and build that net worth.
For sure. Awesome. All right, great question, Blake. Keep them coming. If you have any questions about this or anything, feel free to shoot them in the chat box. It's a chance to pick our brains. All right, so the first B is buy. So how do you come across these deals? How do you find these deals? Because you're not just going on the MLS and buying somebody's house that's fixed up. You need to buy a house that's at a discount. So you have to come across those houses. So how do you find these deals? So I'll kind of start it off and then I'll hand it off to these guys. So you got to kind of determine your core focus. In our market, you can't BRRRR out houses that are $500,000-$600,000 houses because, or you could get your money back, but they're not going to cash flow. So you kind of got to know your box. You have to know what type of property you're looking at. Do you want to focus on single families, on duplexes, on fourplexes? Luke's and I BRRRR'd a couple of apartment complexes. So you can kind of pretty much BRRRR any income producing property if you buy it enough of a discount. So I would suggest kind of knowing your ideal investment property, where it is, what area of town. Like I said earlier, if you do that $500,000 house, you potentially BRRRR out, but it's not going to cash flow. Is that okay with you? Do you just want appreciation? What do you want? So kind of define what you want out of your rental portfolio so you know what type of properties to go after. If you don't have that definition and you're going after every property in the sun, I think you're going to have some issues. So what do you guys think about it? Do you agree? You kind of got to define what your core focus is, your buy box is.
I learned that the hard way. Because like Lucas was saying, when I first got into business, I would buy, rehab, and resell enough to live on, and then I'd keep everything else. But by keeping everything else and not having a better filter, I had houses all over the place, some that cash flowed, some that didn't, and it didn't make any sense. You got to dial it into good cash flowing type of houses in an area of town you want to own them long term.
Love it.
Awesome. So we'll go quickly how you find these deals. There's two main ways to find the deals. Luke, you can cover the first one, I'll cover the second one. But the first one is it's low cost, it's just relationship and network building. Why don't you talk about that, and I'll talk about how you can spend money to find deals.
Yeah, so there's obviously I love the low cost and free way to find deals because you don't have any marketing spend. It's just all effort and relationships. So you gotta tell people what you want to, what you're doing, what you're looking for, and those type of people are wholesalers in your local market, real estate agents, auctions, connectors. Connectors for us are people like attorneys, insurance agents, mold remediators. Brian's got a connector that's a bowling alley owner. So connectors could be anybody that could possibly come across a house that needs to be sold quick for a number of reasons. So I personally love relationship and networking houses and deals because it doesn't cost anything, and I like building those relationships. If you get that built out, you can have a core group of people, 5 to 20, that bring you as many houses you want to buy.
Awesome. All right, and then there's the paid method, which I know some people do. A lot of people get started in direct mail or putting out baited signs, which is free, but you kind of have to buy the baited sign. But anyways, there are ways you can spend money, which is what I was talking about earlier. We're struggling with a little bit right now, but we'll get there. You can spend money through direct mail. You can send people mail. You can put out baited signs. You can have a cold call. You can drive for $1, which is awesome. We use the Deal Machine app. We have if you go download the Deal Machine app and you use our name, FasterFreedom, you get some free deal credits in there. They can do AdWords and Facebook. So there's a ton of different ways you can spend money, get in front of these sellers. But most people want people to bring them deals and just develop their relationships. And the other thing is you have to make offers. If you don't make offers, you're not going to buy houses. I remember when I met Brian, he used to say he wanted to buy a house a week. If he hadn't bought a house on Friday, he was probably putting 5 or 6 offers in. He knew they might not get accepted, but you're going to have to put in offers. If you put in 4 or 5 offers and you don't buy a house, don't get discouraged. It usually takes, what do we say, 1 out of every 10 probably. Something like that.
Yeah, and whatever the asking price is, if you're 50 grand below that, still make that offer and justify it with whatever it is, because you're making that offer for a reason. You're not just coming up with that out of nowhere. So still make those offers, even if you're, I guess, a little embarrassed to make it.
Yep. Still make it awesome. Well, great. We'll keep the questions coming. If you're just joining us, we were talking about how we have built a $25 million rental portfolio using the Burr Method without using any money out of our own pocket. So stay tuned if that interests you, if you're just hopping on. So we are going to talk about analyzing deals. We're going to get into, we have a calculator that we use that we give our students of our boot camps and our masterminds, which we'll talk about at the end. We're not going to give that calculator, but we're going to show you how we use it, and you get to see how we break things down. It'll be pretty cool. But as far as analyzing the deals, the purchase on the front end, we use that formula we talked about earlier that we was talking about, which is ARV, what the property is worth, times 75%. You can go 70 to 80%, but we just like to use 75%. minus your estimated rehab cost equals your purchase price. So I'll get to that and we'll get to John's question. So $100,000 house, that's what it's worth when it's fixed up. You figured that out by you having MLS access or seeing comps on Zillow or PropStream or talking to an agent, times 75%, which is the formula we're telling you to use, the percentage minus the repairs to get it to that $100,000, which is $25,000. So in this case, if we saw a house that was worth $100,000 fixed up and needed $25,000 of work, our max offer is $50,000. If we buy the $50,000, we should be able to burr out and not have come out of pocket with any money. So that's the formula we use. Quickly, let's get to John's question, then we'll get into. I'll let Brian talk about. He's incredible at running comps. He was a real estate appraiser
For 8 years.
For 8 years, so he's been in real estate for almost 30 years now, appraising up the houses. So I'll let him hit on that. But let's get to Jonathan's question, which thank you for asking. When you're making an offer, are you giving yourself an inspection period in the sales contract to determine the scope of work? I'll hit that and then you guys kind of feed in. If you're just getting started, I would suggest doing that, making the inspection period as short as possible so you get the offer, but we don't do that typically because we have done it long enough and our buyers have done it long enough, and it really makes your contract a lot more appetizing to the seller if there's no contingencies in it at all. They'll probably take that, a lesser offer with no contingencies over a higher offer with contingencies. But Jonathan, hopefully you'll join that master coach we talked about. We'll talk you through this a little bit more. But if you're giving an offer that's contingency, be honest and transparent and make it as short as possible to make it most appetizing for the seller. You guys have anything to add to that?
Yeah, so on funky houses, which we come across on a daily basis, especially in our flipping business, funky houses being maybe you don't know the square footage of it, or it's got a foundation crack. Those are houses that justify some type of inspection period.
That's one of Brian's favorite songs, play that funky music.
We should do that right now.
There you go.
So with those type of houses, shorter inspection period is definitely warranted, and don't be afraid to put that in there. But there'll be houses that you come across that you just know it's a home run deal, and you want this for a rental, and don't have an inspection on that especially once you start getting good at this.
All right, awesome. Great question. Keep them coming. We really do appreciate it. Everybody gets content out of your questions. So keep them coming, Jonathan, whoever else have them. If you're just joining us, we're talking about how we have built a $25 million rental portfolio without using any of our own money. All right, Brian. So now that we figured out, how to come up with your offer, the very important part is know what the property is worth fixed up. So kind of run through that and give your own spin on how you come up with what a property is going to be worth in 3 months, which is kind of interesting to think about.
Yeah, ARV stands for after repaired value. So you want to figure out what you think that house is going to be worth after you fixed it up. And you're basically, hopefully you have access to comps in some form. The best source is the local multiple listing service, the MLS. And if you're an agent, obviously you have that. If you don't have access to it, maybe you can get to know an agent really well or something along those lines. And there's other things out there like PropStream, and honestly, I've never really done with any of those.
Yeah, you can do a little bit of that.
Yeah,
sure.
But MLS is the best. Zillow, you can even do a little bit, but MLS is the best. You want to look at houses that are similar to your subject property. So the property that you're looking at buying, you want to find houses that are as similar as possible to that. So if you're in a subdivision, just look in that subdivision. If you're in a part of town that's not a subdivision, do like a quarter mile or a half mile radius. Appraisers are typically going to use something within a half mile. So and try to use if your house is a ranch, compare yourself to ranches. If your house is a 2-story, compare it to 2 stories. Similar square footage. So and the way I do it is I always run the area of the subdivision MLS. I scroll through the photos and eliminate everything that's not similar, and then I dial in more detail on the ones that are similar by looking through the photos.
I agree completely. So if you're watching now, make sure to like the video. If everybody watching likes the video, Lucas is going to drink the rest of my cold coffee from about 2 hours ago. So if we can get a spike in 10 or 15 likes, Lucas is going to drink this coffee. So go ahead and please like the video and share it. But all right, so now that you kind of figured out what the property is going to be worth fixed up, you got to estimate your rehab costs. Lucas, you want to kind of hit that quickly on the best way. Obviously, someone just getting started can have trouble with that. So just kind of a few tips maybe for beginners for estimating what it's going to take to get that property worth the ARV. Yeah,
well, my favorite way is to use the FasterFreedom Calculator, which we'll show you guys. We're not going to give it away right now. hasn't been a spike in likes.
Okay.
It's still on 9.
Okay. Like it so Luke can drink that gross coffee.
Yeah, I mean, it could be worse. It could
Well,
actually probably do
Get
that.
us up to 20, Luke's gonna drink that.
Yeah. So we built out a calculator just from past
Go
experience. All right. But we have typical costs in our calculator. We can just plug and play depending on what your house needs. But if you don't have that, ask a contractor you trust, start building relationships with that contractor, and maybe ask that contractor if he knows other contractors in different trades of the construction business. We always add 10%, 15% if you're just getting started on top of your total rehab budget. So if your total rehab budget is 30 grand, make sure you're adding at least another 3 on top of that 3 grand for unforeseen things that happen in rehabs, because it's always going to happen, I promise. And take the age of the house into consideration. So the older the house, the more time it's going to cost you, the more time it's going to take you to rehab it, therefore the more it's going to be in rehab costs.
Looks like you're safe on the coffee. We're only at 11. We need to get to 20 likes before you drink. But anyways, and then we're gonna, another thing that we're not really gonna dig too much into is you gotta make sure your property cash flows. We're not gonna dig into cash flow today. We're just talking about buying and refinancing, get your money back. But make sure it cash flows. You need that security in there. Banks
Super important
need that
cash
security. So at least $200 a door in our market. Some markets might be a little bit more or less. And then for our multifamilies, we shoot for at least 100. I think we're really probably closer to 150. But we try to shoot for at least 100 on multifamilies. So,
yep.
All right, we're going to get into rehabbing and then financing before we get into the actual examples, some pictures, and the breakdown of numbers and show you our analyzation tool we use. But if you're just joining us, we are showing you guys how we have built a portfolio of over 250 doors without using.
You're kind of repetitive.
I've
already said it like 3 times now.
There's new people getting on every minute. There's somebody new on. All right. So now that you've analyzed the deal and then purchased it, you need to rehab it. So Lucas, we'll chime in, but kind of let you maybe start this one out because you're kind of the rehab expert. You rehab 50 to 60 properties a year for the past several years. So.
Yeah. So rehabbing, it's the whole flow of it, the whole thing of it in general is find good contractors, develop a good game plan, rehab your house the right ways. But if it's a rental, make sure you bulletproof it. Big ticket items, knock out your big ticket items, and then manage that project effectively. Track your actual costs versus the budget throughout the week. So finding contractors, we talked about that a little bit, but get your name out there on the local investor groups. Maybe try Craigslist. I think we found one good person off Craigslist, about 10 bad people. So there's a possibility you could find, have to filter through some bad contractors on Craigslist.
Probably not finding in the yellow pages or on Google. They're probably through a network of some sort,
Yes.
from either investors or
You always say good contractors hang out with good contractors and good investors have good contractors. So get to know both of those and you'll kind of find them.
Yep, and when you find a good one that you love, make sure you pay them on time, treat them with respect, and give them future work.
Awesome, Blake. Appreciate that. Just screenshotting away over here and handwriting notes, great. So this is just a little piece of what we offer over here at FasterFreedom. So thank you, Blake. Appreciate that.
All right, so then you got to develop your game plan, detailed scope of work and budget, and get bids and schedule your contractors. So that's going to all depend on the order of operations, on how you're supposed to rehab a house, and that's for a different presentation. Bulletproof your rentals, ceramic tile or vinyl plank in lieu of carpet. Just make it so you're cleaning when that tenant moves out instead of replacing stuff. That's the goal. And then big ticket items. If you handle these up front, you'll dip into cash flow less. So an example would be if an HVAC system looks like it's going to go out, or your technician expert says it's going to go out within 3 years, I would just go ahead and replace that up front. And then you get a chance of getting a higher appraisal because you show that appraiser how much more money you put into that property, and also you'll dip into cash flow less because it's $5,000 when that thing goes out, or $4,500 in the future. I'd rather pay for that now with the chance of recouping that on the refinance. And then project management. Track your actual costs versus your budget throughout the project. If you get off track, see if there's a way you can get back on track, and make visits to the property at a minimum of once a week and perform walkthroughs with those contractors.
I think that last one is super important. So many people just hire a contractor and let them do the job. Contractors need to be managed, so you need to be at that job site at least once a week.
Yep.
Awesome. All right. So here's how the financing works. The purchase money up front, like we talked about, is the B, which is the buy. But how to not use your own money is you can use private lenders, which we use all the time in all our businesses, banks, which we use as well, and hard money lenders, which we all use as well. So, and if you have your own cash, you can use it because you'll get it back if you have enough and feel comfortable using your own cash. So that's a great way to use your own cash or not use your own cash. Make sure you're getting your money back. So there's kind of 3 buckets you need to do the Burr method. You need a bucket of money to purchase, which can be somebody else's money, a bucket of money to rehab, which can be somebody else's money, and then the final bucket is the long-term financing, which is the bank.
Which is definitely someone else's money.
Definitely someone else's money. So if you're,
I think the theme here is use somebody else's money. There's so many different ways that you can do that.
I agree with that completely. So we're going to kind of go through this, and then we'll get on to our actual example, kind of make this drive this home. And then the rehab bucket, you can use private lenders, line of credit. Some hard money lenders will loan a portion of rehab. A lot of them will. I know Faster Funds Lending will for sure. And then cash. This is kind of something that I would definitely suggest trying to use someone else's money for the purchase. But if you got, it's a quick 10 grand rehab and you got plenty of cash, I would use that because you're going to get it back quickly. That makes sense. Then the long-term money, this is not a Bank of America. This is not a Commerce Bank. This is some smaller portfolio lenders that hold the note themselves. They don't sell them off to Fannie or Freddie Mac. So it's important to get to know those banks and to develop that relationship. You can also use private lenders like for this longer term interest only type payments or seller financing. So there's those options too, but the small banks are definitely the main one to go. And the last quick note is if you want to put them in your own personal name and like quick claim under your LLC, if you want to do 10 traditional residential loans. After that, you'll have to go into commercial loans, which is what all our properties are under. So after you've educated yourself, go out and take action. We gave you a little bit, but if you need some more detailed education, check out our YouTube channel. We have a ton of videos on this. This is just kind of a quick version of it. So educate yourself, and you got to go take action. You're not going to get to where you want to go without taking action. So let's go into our case study. So Lucas, tell them a little bit about this house.
Flamingo. It could only be better if that house was pink instead of yellow, because of the flamingo, obviously. But yeah, it's a yellow house, metal siding, 3-bedroom, 1-bath, slab, I believe, in a nice part of town. I would call this an A-, B+, A- part of town. Bathrooms would need totally redone. No closet doors. Go ahead, see. The next picture is
yeah, so this is just kind of giving you guys a little feel for the house. We're not going to do a ton of pictures, but just it was a house that was livable, just needed some work. And
looks like it needs a roof too.
Yeah, and it did. We put a roof on. So here you can see some after pictures.
Oh, that looks so much better. Holy smokes.
That's what happens when you rehab a house.
Yeah, so we made it really nice.
New siding.
It's a small house. Yeah.
A lot of houses you can paint the aluminum siding or the metal siding, but we got the quote for the paint and we weighed that versus all new vinyl siding, which is what we ended up doing, and it was only like an extra $500 to do all new vinyl. So we went ahead and made that choice, so we have zero maintenance issues on that for the next hopefully 20, 30 years.
So like you said, take your big ticket items, which is we did. We do what we preach. This is a beautiful house. We got to bring in right away to great tenants at crazy high rental rate. I bet we're pushing the market $100 a month, and it's a great tenant that makes plenty of money because they wanted to move into a great new house. It's got 1 bathroom, so we made the bathroom super nice. All the bedrooms, we have the same flooring throughout. So this was a great case study on kind of what we do on a house. Not all houses need this much work, but you're gonna have trouble maxing out rent and refinancing out if you leave the house that looks like that. Some people would buy that house and then just try and rent it out.
For sure.
And if they have trouble burning it out, they're probably gonna have to put money out of pocket. But instead, what we did was we made it super nice. And we got all our money back, which we'll go over the numbers here shortly.
Super nice and maintenance free.
Yep.
Look at that luxury vinyl plank, like we talked about earlier, throughout the whole house.
And we have a actual playlist in our YouTube channel on this. It's called the Flamingo Case Study Playlist. You can go check out our YouTube channel. There's 3 videos on it. We did a before, during, and an after. So you can kind of really dig into this example. I kind of wanted to whet you guys' appetite on this a little bit. We'll get to George's question, then we're going to pull up our calculator. So stay tuned for how we calculate this whole deal. So George's question on the financing, what about the monthly payment of interest? Is it paid out of pocket or is the amount due to the loan? So it kind of depends on your lender. Most hard money lenders will want that out of pocket each month. All of our private lenders let us just pay that at the end. So it just, if you have a private lender, someone may want monthly payments. So it just kind of depends on your relationship with whatever lender you're using.
All right. You may have to make the monthly payments, but hopefully you get it back at the time you do your refinance.
Correct. If you haven't figured out, some money potentially going to come out of your pocket during the process, but you should get it all back. That's why we say it's no money out of pocket. You should get it back. But all right, we're going to pull up the FasterFreedom Investment Calculator, which we give all of our students in our boot camps and our webinars, which we'll talk about here at the end. But Lucas, why don't you run through this because you are the mad scientist creator of this.
Yeah, so there's 2 parts to the calculator. The first tab is the Rehab tab, and we're not going to go through that part. But in the second part of the tab is the cash flow and burr out potential of the property. So this is that same house, the Flamingo house, the yellow house. We bought that house for $90,000. We put $25,000 in the rehab, so we're all in that property for $115,000. We wanted a loan amount of $120,000 because we used a private lender to finance the purchase and the rehab. So we owed that private lender about $4,000 or $5,000. I forget the exact number. So we needed a loan amount of $120,000 to pay him back and have zero money out of pocket. All right. Property appraised at $150,000.
Yep.
Nice.
Brian has one in the same neighborhood. He thinks it's only going to appraise for $144,000.
So conservative.
I know, but I think you're like 10% off. But at the end of this, we got an interest. We can get an interest rate from a local bank at 5% and a 25-year amortization. We got a monthly rent of $1,375 here. Our annual insurance on a property of this size and this amount is $650. Annual taxes for 2019, I found this on the MLS in the realist tax report, $1,736. Our property management fee, that's going to be different for everybody. If you're using a third-party company, you can put in like 8 or 10%, whatever they charge you. But we do it in-house, and our fee is like usually $50 to $75 per house per month. Monthly maintenance expense, we put in between $100 and $150 a month. So to capture maintenance issues that come up down the road. So it depends on the house. If it's a super low maintenance house, maybe we put $100. If we know that house might have some maintenance issues down the road, we'll put in $150. So $150. And vacancy rate, there's going to be a point in time where this house is vacant. So we always put in a 5% vacancy rate, and usually that's a little under maybe 1 month's rent. So that just helps you, especially when you start building out your whole portfolio and have multiple houses. That just helps you account for when things are vacant.
And you have to account for all of these things. When we say cash flow $200, that might not sound like a ton to you, but it's a net cash flow after everything. So you need to make sure that you're taking account of everything. I see a lot of people think they're cash flowing $400, and you see what they don't take property management or maintenance or vacancy, and that's stuff that's going to hit you. So you got to make sure to keep all that into account.
Nice. So the numbers that this calculator spits out after this are a loan payment. It figures out your loan payment $702 a month. Your vacancy $69 a month. Your insurance $54 a month. Taxes $145 a month. Property management $50 a month. We talked about that. And maintenance $150 a month. So after all those expenses, so you take your rent minus all these expenses, and that's $206 a month. So $2,400 a year. How many of those type of houses do you need to be financially free?
So you mean to tell me that you guys bought that beautiful house? I mean, it wasn't beautiful when you bought it. You made it beautiful.
You didn't like that yellow?
Well, it kind of was eye-catching, but you had no money out of pocket.
Yep.
And that asset is paying you $206 a month. And you built yourself, is there equity in there?
Yeah,
you built in $30,000 equity. That's freaking awesome.
$30,000 added to our net worth without a dollar out of our own pocket.
And I mean, it's a great example, but we've all done it, 300, we've probably done it 10 or 12 times this year so far. So
It's a relatively simple process. It's not easy. There's a lot of work to do and stuff, but it's, and there's a learning curve here, but it's a simple process.
Yeah, this calculator is super powerful. We still use it every rental that we buy. We use this tool to analyze it, and we give it out at our boot camps and to our master coaching members and our webinar members too.
Yep.
So if you're interested in this calculator, just go to www.fasterfreedom.com, and that'll show you what we have to offer.
Yeah, so kind of the whole reason we're doing all this is to help educate other people. We do a ton of free content like this. We do 3 videos a week on our YouTube channel. One of them is this live that we're always having guests on and trying to get as much content as we can. So make sure you check us out on YouTube if you haven't yet and subscribe. Check us out on all the other socials, which I have to still smile when I say it, on Instagram and even TikTok. We have a TikTok channel now. So check us out. We're always giving free content, so we give as much as we can because we enjoy doing it. We get a kick out of it. It's fun to help other people. And if you just take in all of our free stuff that we put out there, that's way more than any of us had when we got started. You'll be miles ahead of the competition if you take advantage of what we put out there free. But we also do have some paid stuff. We have a webinar that wherever you're in the country. I think Blake was in Alabama. We have a weekly webinar where we teach a 10-week course that we teach online live. You can ask questions about how we built our rental portfolio, how to do this, but we dig into so much detail. You get access to all of our different formulas and tools and calculators and everything we use. So check that out at our FasterFreedom website. And then also we do a boot camp. Our next one's the beginning of October. It's on the website as well. Check that out. Where we really go into a 2-day boot camp. We take you out to look at our houses, see our rental properties, see our rehabs. Then we also sit all day in this room, and for 2 days, we're going to break down every single thing that we do and teach you. Leaving that, you'll know how to build a lot of rentals really quickly once you leave that. So
we have a lot of fun.
And it's fun. We only got to 12, so we didn't have to drink that, but we do a lot of fun stuff. We're fun guys to hang out with. So definitely reach out to us through any of our channels out there. You just learn FasterFreedom on everything. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Anything else you got to wrap this up with this? Or?
I don't. I thought this was a super powerful one. We do this every week, 11:30 on Thursdays, but I felt like this is the most powerful one. Usually we have a guest, but this time it's just Brian, Sam, and myself, and just dropping knowledge on you guys, dropping bombs.
What? Did you drop them?
I'm going to go down and pick them up. That sounds like fun.
But yeah, so we do this every week. We really enjoy it. So get in, tell your friends about it. Watch us next week. The more questions, the better. We had a few questions this week that were great, but the more questions, the better. The more everybody gets out of this. What do you think, Brian? Anything to add?
No, this was fun. I think you should watch Sam on TikTok. That's a lot of fun.
I don't think it's that fun, but TikTok is a way to get people here. So that's why I use it. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Really appreciate it. Tune in next week at 11:30. See you then.